Welcome to the latest episode of Out and About in Cabarrus County. It is my pleasure today to be with Kannapolis City Manager Mike Legg, and we're here in downtown Kannapolis. Mike, I guess it's probably been 16 to 18 months ago that we did our first episode here in downtown Kannapolis with all the work that's going on. And I think my description at that time was it looks like a bomb went off down here. There were a lot of holes and there were excavators and they were putting in piping and all kind of infrastructure items, and it looks a lot different today, especially the spot where we're standing right now. So tell me a little bit about where we are and what has happened in those months since we last visited.
Yeah, a lot of changes. That bomb that went off has been cleaned up. We are nearing completion of all of the downtown streets and the streetscape and our linear park, and this brand new sports entertainment venue, aka the ballpark, is well under construction, probably about 50% complete. So a lot has changed since we last spoke.
Yeah, well, this is really very exciting. It goes back to one of my favorite sayings. Colored pencils are cheap, and you can make a lot of really pretty drawings. But to see this actually happening, and like you say, 50% complete on this facility, how would you say that this is going to be, if I'm a taxpayer here in Kannapolis, what's the benefit to all this going to be to me?
Well, before we spent a penny downtown, City Council made it clear that we needed to understand what the community thought, and they viewed downtown Kannapolis as the living room of this community for a long time. It was the focal point for a lot of reasons in our history. So they made sure that was what the community wanted before they started really pursuing all this. And they pursued it in a big way, and the city's pursued it in a big way with the county's help and CVB's help and a lot of other organizations to make all this happen. But it really is the SEV, the sports entertainment venue, the streetscape, the renovation of the old buildings downtown, new construction, all that's part of an economic ecosystem that we're trying to create here to bring people back to downtown Kannapolis for pleasure, to eat, to relax, to see a ball game, a whole host of reasons. So it's really it's going to be the focal point of our community long term now.
So the sports entertainment venue, what would you say the scope of this facility is going to be? What kind of activities do you envision happening here? And I mean, the baseball games are an obvious part of that, and I think there's a tremendous amount of excitement about the team coming downtown. But what else? What other things do you see happening here?
Yeah, and that's why we have termed it to date the sports entertainment venue, because it's more than just about baseball. It's got a 360 concourse. This facility will be open essentially during daylight hours every day of the year, except maybe a few major holidays. So it's going to be a public park as much as it is a baseball stadium. So people can get here to walk, to exercise. We hope to have concerts. We know we'll have concerts and other kinds of events that populate the facility. So it's much more than baseball, but then again, baseball is the focus. That is a big part of why we built this. So during the summer months, spring and summer months, baseball will be the thing for downtown Kannapolis for sure.
Well, the concerts, I think the city of Kannapolis has really been extremely successful with the concert series that they currently provide in Village Park. I hear people from all around the region that come and enjoy those concerts, and of course that extends beyond Kannapolis city residents and Kannapolis taxpayers. But the thing that I like to point out is when those people from surrounding communities come in for those events and ones like you've described here, I think they're spending their money in Cabarrus County. They're buying gas and they're eating out in our restaurants and they're shopping in our stores as they're coming and going. Do you think that's going to have a big impact on the success of all these other buildings downtown Kannapolis?
There's no doubt. Part of this is about the community and building something for the community and what the community wanted, but it also is exactly what you said. It's about bringing others from outside of our community into our community that maybe have not been to Cabarrus County or to Kannapolis. So it's about the tourism side of it as well.
Right.
It's about spending other outside of people outside of Cabarrus County, bringing their money and spending it in downtown Kannapolis and in Cabarrus County. So that's a big part of it for sure. That's why there's heavy interest in a hotel, and we're pursuing that now to get a hotel built downtown for that very purpose, to bring people into our poor part of our city.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about other folks, but it's hard for me to keep up with everything that's going on up here. I know that there have been discussions about the hotel, and if I understand correctly, that's not anything that's cemented in
right
at this point in time. There have been conversations about certainly the residential component, which is amazingly coming out of the ground so rapidly over on Main Street. One of the questions that I hear a lot is, how about the parking? How's that going to be handled? Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, during game nights, for instance, or when we have a big concert in the sports entertainment venue, parking is going to be a premium issue for everybody. We have more than 4,000 spaces within a quarter-mile walk of downtown.
Wow.
And it's not really evident, but there's a parking deck, there's another one being built, there's a lot of surface parking, a lot of on-street parking all around downtown on the research campus. So people will have to get used to walking a little bit more than maybe they have in the past to go to a venue like this. But there is plenty of parking. We're working through the details of making sure people know where those places are to park, make it convenient and easy for them. But we feel confident there's enough parking. It's just going to be educating the patrons that come to games and come to concerts and other events downtown where those places are, so they don't have to spend a lot of time driving around trying to find a space.
Yeah, and I think another thing to point out, a lot of that parking that you just described is going to be free parking.
It is.
For folks.
And that's another big piece of that, is we want people to walk through and around downtown. One of the reasons we're building the sports entertainment venue right downtown, right where we're sitting right now, or standing right now, is that we want people to enjoy the other things downtown will have over time to offer. Where the current stadium is, you drive to the stadium, you park, you go see a game, you get in your car and you leave.
Exactly.
Nobody's spending any money outside of the walls of the stadium. In the new sports entertainment venue, the hope is they linger. They come early, they stay later, and they see some of the shops and the restaurants and the bars and the breweries downtown. They go to the gym theater maybe. So there's a lot of reason to come downtown, and it's not just about going to a game, getting your car and leaving.
Well, Mike, we've talked about the multi-purpose aspect of this sports entertainment venue. I guess if somebody comes along and they wanted to have their wedding and they wanted to stand at home plate, is that a possibility?
Yeah, there's all sorts of opportunities in this facility. There's a 6,000 square foot ballroom on the top level of the facility that'll be open for rentals for any kind of events, public events, private events. There's 8 suites that people can lease for a year or parts of a year on that same suite level. There are 28 points of sale for concessions, and that is more than triple what we have now in the current stadium. So there are a lot of amenities built into this facility that just didn't exist, don't exist in the current stadium. All the seating types in this facility are dramatically different. There's high top tables, there's 4 top tables, there's outside what we call loge boxes, which are like outdoor suites. You have your own little sort of private space. Traditional seating, but not as much as the old stadium. We've converted a lot of that traditional kind of seating to these more unique, diverse kinds of seating options. There's a big berm. People just want to pay general admission and go sit on the outfield berm and watch a ball game. They can. There's a big bar that's downtown with a lot of seating around the bar. So we're in a situation here that is truly about entertainment. It is not only about baseball and the game that happens on the field. It is about the experience of being here. And the current facility, there's no way to put that out there. With this stadium, it's about just the experience of being here and enjoying being at a ball game and the opportunities that provides.
Well, I can certainly understand that. At my recent visit out to the current stadium, we were in one of the suites, and there was a rain delay on the game, and it eventually was called off. And I think when they finally called the game, we were still enjoying socializing and eating and all those kind of things. And so those opportunities are limited, and it sounds like it's going to be abundant here.
There will be.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about the linear park on West Avenue. How about let's walk down there and take a look at that?
Let's do it.
Okay, we've moved away from the sports entertainment venue and the baseball stadium, and we're now down on West Avenue, and there's an awful lot of activity going on here. Tell us about what we're seeing.
Yeah, so this is our downtown linear park, aka West Avenue, which includes several side streets: A Street, B Street, Laureate Way, First Street. So it's sort of an encapsulation of the old downtown that's being reworked into a new environment, a new pedestrian-oriented environment. A lot of the existing buildings are staying. Some have gone to make way for some new development, including the sports entertainment venue, but a lot of the old buildings are staying, and we're going through a process of renovating. But the streetscape itself, or the linear park we're calling it, is just a wide collection of people places. There's a street running through the middle of it, just like it always has, West Avenue, with tree-lined parts of this street. A couple of new roundabouts people have to get used to, where you switch sides of the traffic. What those roundabouts do is, in West Avenue, it creates these huge sidewalk, essentially linear parks on both sides. So on the northern side, it's on one side of the street, and the traffic is on the other, and then you get to the roundabout in the middle where we're standing right here, and you switch sides, and the traffic's on the other side, and then the people places are on flipped. Really creates value for a couple of parts of downtown where you have these big, huge places where you can have outdoor dining and recreation kinds of things that are occurring in them, but also maintain two-way traffic flow through downtown. The oak trees that have been here for a good period of time are still preserved, and they're here. That was part of the original plan, was they had to stay. We had to preserve them. They're not down the middle of the street now, but they're sort of in the middle of this new configuration. So they're still a real asset for our downtown. So that's sort of the overview, but it's really just transforming this place into a real showpiece for the city, a place that people want to come just to visit the new street itself, because there's things to do here as well.
Well, I can certainly understand that. I thought that the drawings and the plans were really impressive. To be able, this is the first time I've experienced it in person, to actually see what it looks like, and I'm more than impressed with the spaces that are available. I see some small stages for where performances could occur. The landscaping is beautiful. As you mentioned, the trees, that's one of the first things I noticed, is how healthy all the trees still look, even with all this construction that's gone on. So it's definitely going to be an exciting place. And of course, prior to this construction beginning, most of the tenants that were downtown were office functions and things of that nature. Not a lot of retail still here. Some. I know that Lee Clothing Warehouse has remained open throughout this entire process, which is pretty amazing. And I think they have been able to survive that. So, but now we have a lot of other opportunities available down here, and I think the city is planning to put some of this property in private ownership and get it back on the tax books, and let them be the landlords for whatever goes on. Can you tell us a little bit about what's for sale and what's not, and how that's going to work?
Sure. Great question. So we do own essentially all the buildings downtown the city. The community owns them. We are now in the process of stabilizing them. The ones that are remaining, which is the historic block where the gym theater is, that entire block, the block just south of there, the old Swanee Theater, the old visitor center that was in the old Cannon Village here, the block where the old Cabarrus Bank building is, which is right here at this intersection where this roundabout we're standing at. Those buildings are all being preserved. The last one I mentioned, the old Cabarrus Bank building block, that is owned by the developers of Vita, the apartment project next door. So they are preserving those buildings. They're putting a brewery in one side of it. Restaurants are going in the other. The brewery is well underway now in renovations. They plan to open in October. We are selling the first block, not the gym theater. The gym theater, the city, the community is going to maintain ownership of the gym theater itself and a couple of the spaces next door, and hope to have the theater operation well into the future. But the block around it, we're selling in pieces. We're finding developers who are interested in buying it in pieces. The first piece being where Restaurant 46 was, and that first block on West Avenue.
Right.
That piece where we're out there now searching for developers that are willing to partner in buying that, putting on the tax rolls, putting private money into it, and getting the spaces filled with new retail and restaurants. And we'll do that in stages. We don't want to put too much on the market at once, so we'll do that one, get that one stabilized, then move to the next one, and kind of do it progressively like that. And hopefully within the next 2 to 3 years or so, we'll have all that back on the tax rolls, and we'll have new operating businesses back into downtown. So that's the plan.
Well, I think that with the progress that's been made here and what you can see in place already for a potential buyer to see this, I think they're going to be very excited about the possibilities and the opportunities. Looking at it from the government standpoint, and I'll just take the Cabarrus County piece of it, the block that we're looking at directly across from us, that's the old Cabarrus Bank building, and will be the new home to the Armory Brewery, which is scheduled to open, I think you told me, in October. The residential Vita project. I think that we're looking at a piece of property that primarily was a lot of parking lot that was not very heavily used before, and probably was on the tax books at a very small figure. With what's going on here, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we're looking at something that's going to be on the tax books for $60 to $70 million. And so that's going to have an impact on our tax base and the taxes that we collect, not to mention the job opportunities that are going to be for folks to work in these retail establishments and all the other things. So it's a win-win all the way around. And so, talking about this street, you mentioned there was a potential ribbon cutting, an opportunity for the public to come down and take a look at what's been accomplished here. Are you far enough along to share any of those details?
Yeah, we're looking at tentatively, we'll confirm, but tentatively October 10th is the plan right now, is to have a community celebration of all of this. And all of this is the streetscape, the linear park, but it's also a celebration of the new construction, private investment coming in, but a celebration of preserving the old, the things that have been here for decades and decades, and how we repurpose those buildings, get new life in them, and see them stabilize well into the future. So it's a celebration about a lot of positive change that's occurred in downtown Kannapolis. Again, the living room of the community.
Right.
So that's going to be a fun day. People get to tour sort of what's happening here. They'll get to sort of understand what's happening in all these buildings and what the plans are for these vacant tracts that exist in a couple of places. So exciting times for sure.
Well, I think the community really will be excited to see all those things. Certainly, I think there are a lot of people that are like me. They've been standing on the other side of the fence looking through to see what's going on, and you can't really grasp it until you get down in the middle of it and see it all in a long glance. Well, I'm sure that we could talk on for probably several more hours about all the exciting things that are happening here, but I think our time is coming to an end. So I want to thank you for being with me today, and thank you for the tour and all the information you've given us about downtown Kannapolis. And so we hope that all of you watching this episode of Out and About in Cabarrus County have enjoyed it, and we hope to see you again soon.
If you have suggestions for topics or location that you would like to see on Out and About, please contact us. Our email address is outandabout@cabarruscounty.us.